Okay. All right. That's really interesting. That was good. Now I'm kind of perking up here because we're moving on to our next point, and I get really excited about this. I want to give you 3 articles that I found and kind of just give the overarching message here. Let's start with the first one. Marriott Bonvoy. This is their website. They just came out, they surveyed 22,000 people. They came out with a bunch of statistics.
22,000, that's a big survey.
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of surveys you see are around 1,000 people. That's awesome.
This is the one I really like. 79% of consumers plan to go on more or the same amount of holidays in 2026 compared to 2025. Yep. That's amazing news. We go up to the hospitality.net or hospitalitynet.org. This amazing article that came out. You can look at the article. Here's the headline. How is the industry's shift toward experience-based booking reshaping hotel revenue strategy? Guests, particularly millennials and Gen Z, are no longer booking the cheapest room or even the best view. They are choosing based on experiences. A wellness package, a chef-led dinner, a sustainable stay, or a curated local adventure that feels uniquely theirs. Last article here. This is from Worldwide Public Relations. They did a huge global study on global vacation homes, 143 plus pages, and it describes all kinds of stuff. This is the sentence I like right here. It projects that the global vacation home market will expand at a compound annual growth rate of 9.10% from 2025 to 2032, from $108 billion in 2025 to $215 billion by 2033. So, I mean, when I hear that stuff, I hear that people are going on more vacations, or at least going on the same, it's not going lower. And when they're going on these vacations, they're not looking for just the cheapest thing. Right? They're looking for more things that you've been preaching since day one, unique, personalized experiences. And this is music to my ears. And then I mentioned earlier in the episode that I wrote a little note down here, and we were talking about the Airbnb fee, the 15%. This kind of came to my thought of, say someone, they're hearing this and they go, you know what? I'm not going to raise my prices by the 15%. I'm going to be the one person that holds out, and I'm going to lose a little bit of money on this deal. I would think now that that's actually going to hurt them because people no longer are caring about who has the lowest price. They care about these other things. So even if, I would think, now correct me if I'm wrong, even if you decide I'm going to hold out, I'm going to lose the 15%, that hurts you, no?
Yeah.
Drum rolls.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's consumers all across the board, right? Mm-hmm. There are always consumers that shop for price. Mm-hmm. There always will be.
Yeah.
There's always going to be business owners, hosts in our case, that are willing to race to the bottom on price.
Right.
And so we let the bottom feeders be bottom feeders, and we let them play in that game, right? Yeah. As a host that does any of the things that we're talking about, you're not going to make any money doing that. And so Dan Kennedy, I've said it before, I'll say it a million times. He said, if you can't make money being the low price leader, there's no benefit in being the second low price guy, because the bottom feeders look for the bottom. And so so that's always in every market. They're there, right? We also know from consumer behavior, there's study after study after study, that consumers will pay more. They want to pay more, but they want to pay for certain things, right? The number one thing that consumers pay for is personalized, unique experiences. And that's not just in our space. That's across the board. That's, if you're buying a brand new bike, if it's a unique, personalized bike to you, you're going to pay more than just an off-the-shelf bike that everybody else can have, right? You want something customized, that we pay more for custom stuff, right? And so guests or consumers, they will pay more if you give them a reason to pay more. But that's what's really important. Hosts are not doing a good job giving them a reason to pay more. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to be personalized. You have to be unique and different. And that gives the consumer justification to pay more. All these things are saying, hey, consumers want to pay more. They're willing to pay more. Here's what they want. It's our job to give it to them, right? They're telling you what they want, so give it to them. And I know that there's going to be people who are not going to do this price increase. We already know there's people on these. I mean, I've seen multi-million-dollar properties. I saw almost a $2 million property renting on Airbnb for $150 a night the other day. I know the market. I know how much those properties are, and I saw this property on there for $150 a night. Are you kidding me? Who in the hell in their right mind is renting a $2 million property for $150 a night? And it was nice. It was a dang nice property, but they're just a commodity. And so they think in their mind, and this is, we're in a mom and pop type of an industry, and good or bad. And one of the bad parts about that is you have a lot of mom and pop investors that don't study consumer behavior. They don't understand that we're in the hospitality business.
Right.
We're not in the property sales business. We're not trying to sell beautiful properties. And that person that bought that $2 million property is probably scratching their head saying, what in the heck? This is a beautiful property, and nobody's staying in it because they're not creating an experience. It's just it's literally looks like just a bland model home that blends into everything else in that same market. And so the other thing that you showed is that the consumer continues to spend more money every single year. There's a report that I've been doing I speak a lot on stages, and I do a lot of live events and live things. Well, I've been showing a study that came out in 2023 showing the projections of the rental growth throughout the years, and they projected 11% year over year growth. Well, we're almost 3 years into that study, 23, 24, 25 now, and we're still sitting at this. This is a different study at 9.10. We're showing that every single year the consumer keeps spending more money. And so we're not super worried. And there's study after study and expert after expert looking at the hospitality world and saying it's probably one of the least affected industries by any looming economic uncertainty and recession out there. And so if that's the case, but on the same note, what is also true is if you look across the board, and we underwrite properties all day, every day. We have a full acquisition department right down the hallway, right? And all we're doing is underwriting properties. And so I can say this with confidence. We understand what people are making on their properties. We can see the revenue back end with a lot of the tools that we have. We also know what properties are selling for in these markets. 80% of the properties, in my estimation, if you bought them today, would not make any money. And so how is it true that the money being spent is more than it's ever been, yet 80% of the properties aren't making any money?
People at the top are making it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody at the it's way weighted at the top, just like every other industry that like this is the top 5 to 10% of the properties are making all the money because they're giving the consumers what they want. And guess what the consumers are willing to do? Say, hey, listen, thanks for listening to us. Here's more money. Instead of $150 a night for a $2 million property, I'm going to pay you $2,000 a night for that property. How is that even possible in the same market? It happens all the time in our space. And so what you have to do is say there are going to be people that are going to be priced less than you. And it's your job to not worry so much about that. It's your job to say, hey, listen, I'm going to listen to the consumer. And in our space, the consumer says, I want a unique, personalized experience. How am I going to deliver that? And how am I going to differentiate myself from every other property owner out there so the consumer picks my property above everybody else's? And they say, by the way, Sean, I'm happy to pay you more than what your neighbors are charging. And that's what that goes down to, these studies that you're pulling up and these things. It's just reiterating the fact of the fundamentals we've been preaching for how many years now?
Yeah, man. Okay, so my question goes into, I wrote, how do I get it? How do I give it to them, this unique experience, if they're willing to pay for it and I have a struggling property? So let's just go through here. I mean, we have so many episodes on this. Episode 281, how to revitalize your struggling property, right? Yep. We scroll up a little bit more here. We have Riches in the Niches, episode 307. If you just scroll through our videos, we have tons of stuff to help you transform your property, give them this experience. Man, we have so many things on here. Just go through our episodes. We have tons.
And none of this is easy. Here's the thing.
No.
The reason that few people do this is because this is hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to make the commitment to do it. But those that do get rewarded very nicely in a game that's pretty fun to play when you're making money. But it's not that fun to play if you're losing money every month. And so if you are listening and you're worried about that, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look at your property. Yeah. If you want an audit, send it over to support@vodyssey.com. We'll audit your property and I'll give you some feedback. And I'm not gonna. I'm always just like very upfront and honest and say, here's what I would do with this property. If it was mine, this is what I'd be doing, so that you know the changes that I would be making and how we would implement what we're talking about.
Episode 251, the road less traveled, building that mindset. If you need a little extra push, there's that one.
There you go.
But that's everything. I think we're almost at 45 minutes. We're at 44. That's it,
Okay.
man.
That's it.
That's
Wrapping it up.
Wrapping it.
Okay, good end. I mean, and
great, exciting
great
stuff.
news on the short-term rental market continues to shine. Hospitality the consumer keeps spending money, and even in economic downturns, we have found that the consumer will continue to travel. They are going to want to escape from the stresses of life, right? Instead of saying, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna capitalize on the good times, and we're gonna go enjoy our time together." We're gonna say, "Hey, man, I'm getting away from the stress and the anxiety, and we're gonna take a weekend and we're gonna chill out." The other thing is, short-term rentals have given people an economical way to travel. Even though we're talking about, hey, give them a great experience, they'll pay you more, they will. But also, these are properties with full kitchens many times. You can split them with other people. You don't have to go out to eat because of those kitchens. You can stop at Costco. And so the travel experience becomes more economical, right? Usually they're drive-to destinations to major metro areas, 2 to 4 hours away. And people can go. And so they end up being a nice getaway that actually is fairly economical way to travel versus jumping on and going to a luxury resort on an airplane and doing some of that stuff where you're eating out every night and having to get maybe multiple hotel rooms because your family size or whatever. So short-term rentals have given the consumer, which is why another reason why I think they've exploded, a really fun, economical way to travel as well.
It's opened the door for the average American, I think.
Yeah, to experience a lot of different things that they may not otherwise be able to do because they can split it up with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, buy your short-term rental, man. Join Vodyssey. That's it. I mean, come on.
That's it. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do is join Vodyssey. Seriously, though, if you're like, hey, listen, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You guys always can, all of our listeners, we tell this all the time, support@vodyssey.com. Email us in. Let us know you're a podcast listener. If you want some help, you want some advice, we'll give you an audit, and we'll do what we can to point you in the right direction. That's our goal at Vodyssey, is always to help people walk into this with their eyes wide open. And so that's why we do this a couple times a week. And we appreciate you guys joining us.